Welcome again, everybody, to our masterclass for February, streaming, organization, coaching, and self-care. I'm so happy to be here with y'all today. I'm City John, and today, first of all, it happens like this every single time. Retro and I always seem to align with what we're going to be talking about, even though we don't do any prior planning together. We don't really talk about it ahead of time, but it always seems to work out that the physical part or the production part that he talks about really aligns with what I'm going to talk about in terms of the internal or energetic and organizational part of things. So again, thank you all for being here. If you missed any part of today's session, don't worry. If you're registered, you're going to receive the entire replay, so you'll get both portions and be able to continue checking in and tapping in from there. So do I have y'all permission to go into some loving coaching today? I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. So I'm going to talk about briefly what the term holistic, because it's thrown around a lot. And if y'all have any insights please type them in the chat. What comes up in your mind when you hear that term holistic? And I'm going to also share what it means for me. I think that there's a conception that when we talk about things being holistic, it's about, yeah, it is a big word. You're right. You're right. And I think that when we hear that term, we sometimes correlate it with eating for the most part, eating healthy food, eating fruits and vegetables, taking herbs, taking supplements, basically things that might be different from the medical system's ways of doing things. But when I use that term holistic, it really is describing that the entire part of us is a holistic being, like everything is related. The way that we think, the way that we feel on the inside, and just like how our body feels physically, the things that we do, all of those things are holistically related. So it's not enough to just acknowledge that there's pain in the body, for example, without also acknowledging that there's probably a mental and emotional component that's also in some kind of pain as well. And when we learn how to look at ourselves from a holistic perspective, we can start to have more ease and more satisfaction. Retro talked about that authenticity. We can tap into that a little bit more, and we can start to experience a little bit more fulfillment. And so today I want to talk a little bit about holistic organization. Retro talked about consistency, which aligns greatly with holistic organization. How many of y'all have heard that time and money are one and the same? Like they're the same thing. I know I've heard that before. I grew up hearing that all the time. And my reality in understanding that now is that time and money are both tools, but they're not the same tool. And they're going to show up differently in our lives based on how we perceive them. And they're going to be used differently based on those perceptions as well. So let's reframe it. Money as a tool circulates, and what you give is always going to come back to you. Money is renewable. But time is a little bit different. The time that I had earlier today on February 22nd, 2025 is not going to come back to me. And that's how it is with time. So where there may be deficits in money or differences in money between individuals, like we might have all different amounts in our bank account, we all start out each day with the same amount of time. And that is so important to realize, because the choice of how we use that time is also up to us. I see y'all in the chat talking about what it means, holistic. Okay, I like that. Noah says when he thinks of holistic, he thinks of mindfulness. Um, Krispy Kreme says like everyone is together. I like that. Okay, thank y'all for sharing y'all thoughts. So time. The choice of how we use our time is up to us. Even if we don't think we have a choice, even if we think that the choice has already been made for us due to circumstances, the choices are ultimately always ours. There always are. So we got to own them. And I'm going to share a brief story about how that showed up in my life. Many of y'all know that I'm a former elementary school teacher. I taught in an elementary school classroom for over 15 years. And I taught in a couple different schools, but at one point I worked at a charter school and I was separated from that charter school. I was let go. All right. So after that, I went and got a new job at the school district, continued my teaching career at a different school, different district, same vibe, different place, right? Okay. One day I woke up, not woke up. I think I was actually in the classroom and I was like feeling miserable, like actually miserable. The definition of misery, like that's how I was feeling. And I asked myself, how did you get here? Like I asked myself that question, like, how did you get here? How did you get to this point of misery? And I realized that it was because I made the choice once I was separated from the charter school, I made a choice to get a new job. And that choice was made based on the circumstances that I was seeing, those immediate short-term circumstances, like these bills got to get paid. I got to maintain this financial lifestyle. This financial situation has to be able to stay afloat. So those short-term circumstances is what influenced me to make a decision to immediately apply for a new job, get hired, and just continue as I have been doing. But the reality is that I actually could have made a different choice. When the school district, not the school district, when the charter school let me go, I could have made a choice to start my business then. I could have made a choice then to start offering those holistic educational offerings. The reason why I left the school district to begin with, I could have made a choice then to start doing that because I had the time freedom to do so. I didn't have to go clock in anywhere. Nobody was checking for me saying you got to be here for this amount of time, right? And I could have used that time freedom to focus on sharpening my skills, learning about entrepreneurship, building the thing, right? But I didn't. So that's just an example of how even though we might say like, yeah, I don't have a choice. I don't have a choice because I got to do this. I got to do this. We do have a choice, but it's all about how we are deciding to use the time and how we're deciding to make our choices align with what we really desire. So when I did eventually leave the school district, I had all this time. And it was like, holy, like I got all this time to do whatever it is I want to do. And I was also so used to, I was coming from a system that had my time very regimented. At 8 o'clock, I know I was supposed to be here. At 12 o'clock, I should be there. By 3 o'clock, it was time to go home. And then I would do whatever else I did and then repeat the cycle the next day, right? And coming from that environment to then being in a situation where I had the full 24 hours to myself was like, first it was just like liberating, but then it was like, okay, girl, you got to organize this because you can't just be sitting, you're not on summer vacation. This ain't spring break for you anymore. This is actually, you are now building a new facet of your life. So I created a tool that helped me organize myself and my time holistically. And later on, Retro, if you would like to, if I could ask you to share your experience, because Retro has also used that same tool, and I think Juice has too. It's called the Holistic Checklist. And if y'all don't mind, I'm gonna share my screen so I can show y'all a little bit about what I mean. Give me a second though. So remember, we talk about that word holistic, right? Holistic, not just meaning what I eat, all right? Um, not just, it's not just about exercise. How do I share a screen here? Okay, not just about exercise, but how am I, okay, there we go. How am I using my time and how am I thinking about all the parts of my life, not just the things that I'm supposed to do, but all of the parts of my life because I'm a holistic being. So everything that I'm doing is important, not just what I do to make money, basically, right? So when I had all this time to myself, it was important for me to start to organize it. So I created this holistic checklist and started to think about, okay, What are the important things in your life? What is it that you feel is important for you to give your time to? It was important for me to give time to home, working on myself, feeding my mind, feeding my spirit. Work, of course, working on your body, right? Eating healthy, exercise, all that good stuff. Then I had to also focus on, all right, sis, but how you making that guap, right? So I had to also plan time in for, I don't like to call it work all the time, but like service offerings and how that relates to my lifestyle. Self-care is also important to me. Y'all know I'm a self-care coach. So self-care is a component that I had to really start to prioritize. Finances, all of these aspects of life. It's not just one thing, but looking at myself holistically. Then, of course, my social life, because I can't just be doing all this creation all the time and not having no fun, even though the creation is fun. When do I get to go out and enjoy my friends, right? And the same thing, when do I get to be with my family and enjoy that time with them? If in a relationship, what are the things that I need to do to focus on building a more fulfilling relationship? And if I want to travel, how can I make time for that? Some of the things that I put on the list, I wasn't really doing yet. They weren't in my life, but I believe in the power of taking the things that we don't yet have in our reality, but if we desire them, putting them on paper so we can start to make them become real in our lives. In the mind, it's a one-dimensional thing. Once it gets on paper, it's a two-dimensional thing. And there's only one step from there to making it three-dimensional, four-dimensional. Now it's living in our life. Okay. So, and then there are also places for new categories that, maybe I haven't thought about yet, that I could add one day. So this holistic checklist was something that I would use. It says week of, but honestly, I would use this for the whole month. And for this month, these would be all the things that I want to prioritize in my life. And then I would take it a step further. All right. I would take it a step further and I would go take week by week in each month and say, okay, on Sunday, you're going to do this. Basically, I used to allow the boss man or lady to do this for me. They gave me a roster. Your classes are at this time. And my time was monopolized by that system. But now I'm saying I can do this for myself because I am the one in charge of my time. Okay, so on Sunday, this is just a sample. This is not what I'm doing right now, but a sample of how it could work. On Sunday, and it's not there. Notice there are no times on here. Because I like unstructured time. I like it to be organized, but I don't like it to also follow a rigid structure like 8 to 9 this, 10 to 12 this. I like to be able to flow with it. You know what I'm saying? So notice there are no times, but I am saying that on Sunday, these are the things that are important for me to do. All right, because I'm not working on Sunday on my business, so I can really focus more on home tasks, for example. All right, and I'm gonna share this with y'all and a link that y'all can copy. When you're gonna get a link that's gonna have you make a copy of it if you like to use it. So if I am scrolling quickly, or if you would like me to linger on a certain day and I didn't, I do apologize, but I just kind of want y'all to get the gist of it. All right. I do this for every single day of the week. And guess what? After a while of building up the habit of structuring my time in this way, structured but not structured in this way, I don't even have to use this checklist every day anymore or every month. It just starts to, you build a habit, you build that muscle, internal muscle, right? Of the mind. And then that internal discipline translates into you just automatically knowing what to do. Down at the bottom, I have those more practical things like, okay, what are the expenses for this week that I need to focus on? If I want to budget it and put a certain amount of money toward each thing every week to amount to the month, this was a place where I could organize those things. If the checklist version is a little long and maybe not your style, I also have created a grid view of the same thing. So same thing, Sunday through Saturday, or however you desire to structure your week. Perhaps you like to make it go Monday through Saturday, or Monday through Sunday, or perhaps you like maybe the first day of your work week or school week starts on a different day, or your week of creation starts on a different day. So you get to edit this and manipulate it however you desire to. There's a color code here, so you can keep those colors organized in terms of what tasks are for home, mind, body, etc. Notice that every single day I'm working on my mind, right? Every single day I'm doing something for my body because I know that with a strong body and with a strong mind, I'm going to be more and more capable of being able to do the things that I desire to do in my business, with my social life, with my partner, with my family, et cetera, et cetera. You get to make this work for you. That's the bottom line. The bottom line there is that you get to make that work for you. And again, I'm going to share that absolutely with y'all in a link before we go. And also I'll share it in the follow-up email where you're going to get the replay as well. So yeah, make it work for you. Retro spoke earlier about how learning that Mondays wasn't the best day for him for streaming. And he learned that through a lot of trial and error. And also through learning which days energetically work best for him according to his astrological chart. We definitely used astrology to support making making all of his time because the days of the week and are influenced by energy. So we use that information to figure out what will be the optimized days for his streaming career. If you want support with that, I'm happy to help with that as well. When you start pouring more of your time back into yourself, you're going to feel better. And then you're going to start to see more and more of your possibilities because they already exist within you. And when you start giving more time and attention to them, they emerge naturally. And then you're going to be naturally given more support in terms of time, resources, people to help you bring them into your reality. Now, if you're not ready to think about time holistically in this way, that's cool. You can use a tool like this for organizing your live streams, like Retro said about planning the pre-production, the actual production of the stream, and the post-production. Write those things down so that you can stay on track and then see the building, the progression of the stream. What we call it is the storyline that is playing within the stream for that month or that week or whatever. Oh, we have a new family member want to come through. Hold on one second. Let me open the door. Peace, 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 Alyssa. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're talking about holistic self-care right now. And remember, anyone, if you know whatever time you came in, don't worry, you're going to be able to receive the replay for the entire class, and you won't have had to miss a thing. So, another thing that this helps you to do, family, is clarify your goals because you'll have more clarity, more time to really focus on yourself, reducing the clutter from all the things that used to keep you from focusing on your goals allows you to see your goals more clearly. This time that we're in right now, like end of February, is a really good time to do that because we're shaking off the stillness of winter and we're getting into our spring cleaning phase, which doesn't just have to be about the home or cleaning out the closets, but it can also be about clearing out the mind, the clutter of the mind, before spring jumps into action. That internal clarity is absolutely going to reflect as external clarity, guiding aligned actions to help you reach your goals more sustainably. For any of our younger brothers and sisters listening, I opt out of feeling like this is not for you to focus on because you haven't gotten to a certain stage in your life yet. Especially if you're still in student mode, which is easy to do because the system of school monopolizes our time so much, which is actually part of the conditioning. Hello. So that when you transition from school mode, you're already wired to give more of your time and your best energy to things outside of yourself rather than pouring that energy into you so that you build your life more sustainably. So it's okay to start thinking about these things now, using this developmental period that you're in for what it's designed to do, to help you learn more about yourself through your relationships, learn more about your likes and dislikes, learning what you're actually willing to rebel against, okay? Because that's part of what that period is for. And learning what boundaries you need to sustain so that your energy is protected and your peace is also protected. Lean into your superpower, whatever that might be. And for many of us, that superpower are the things that institutions like school and other systems try to talk us out of and tell us that those are things that's holding us back. If it naturally is emerging within you, like some of us who may think fast, have a real fast brain, a real quick way of thinking, that also indicates that you're a super talented multitasker. So how can you lean into that as your superpower? For any parents who may be listening, you may be wondering, how could this be relevant to your children? Your modeling of habits like this in a way that they can observe is absolutely going to rub off on them. Also, sharing with them in a developmentally appropriate way, of course, about your process and allowing them to ask questions and to share their goals, to share their dreams will get them into the habit of being goal-oriented when they're young, and that habit's going to grow up with them. What they witness as being important and valuable to you is going to become valuable to them because parents imprint their behavior onto their children. And many of the habits that they grow up with will actually come from what they learn explicitly, meaning the things that you actually teach and say to them, and also the things that they learn implicitly, which are the things that they observe from you and how they interpret and perceive their experiences with you. All right. So that's really all that I have for our session today, family. Holistic self-care really is more than just what we eat and what we put into our system, but it is about seeing ourselves, like Noah said, mindfully. Krispy Kreme talked about everything being all together. It's really about seeing ourselves as a holistic being and giving ourselves holistically all the attention that we need in every single area of our lives in order for us to build our lives more sustainably.